So in this video, we're going to talk about mostly for the beginners. I know a lot of you probably watching could care less because you already know the answer to this video or the title. But for a lot of people that are kind of wondering or beginners out there, or have a fish that they're not really fish people, but they have a fish and they just take care of it. Not people like us. People like us, we keep a lot of tanks. Some people just have one tank and they kind of just keep one fish, and that's basically all they ever do. So, and they might never ever care about, well, not really care, but never, I guess, look up really how to take care of it or really anything. So, today we're going to talk about why a betta fish will die, because I guess during these ages, a lot of people, their first fish is a betta. Back in the day, it used to be a goldfish. I feel like in the last 10 years or so, it's been the betta fish for everybody being their first fish. Every time somebody just decides, I just want a fish, they always get a betta fish. So we're going to talk about betta fish today and why they die. First reason that is probably the most common is overfeeding. Now, I know a lot of beginners or really people or little kids or little ones that get a fish and it's usually a betta and they love to feed it. Me personally, I've done it for so long, I could care less about feeding and most of the time I forget. That's how much, we get bored of it. But when you first get a fish, that's kind of the cool thing is to feed your fish, and it's going to cause constipation and symptoms. And what it's going to do is widen the belly, and that's going to affect stuff like the swim bladder. It's going to cause it to swim, weird. It can't, if you don't know what the swim bladder is, it's what keeps the fish, kind of upright and keep it swimming. If it doesn't have a swim bladder, all this is going to tip upside down and float up. And so when a swim bladder, it actually keeps it, swimming and keeps it straight. And if it's swim bladder, it might swim like this, it might swim upside down. So that stuff can happen if it has a bloated stomach. And obviously that's going to cause death. It's kind of like us. It takes a while for us to overeat and it causes our health and we eventually die. But it takes longer for us to die for overfeeding. But for a fish, a betta with its stomach's like that, overfeeding is the easiest thing that can kill it. Their stomachs are only so small, so if you're feeding flakes or pellets or live food, only maybe a couple flakes or a couple pellets, and that's it. And only do that like once a day or once every other day. Next is lack of diet. People just buy whatever food the store recommends or tells you to buy, and you just feed that only. Fish, it's just like us. We need meat, we need protein, we need our grains, we need a variety of food to stay alive, or we will eventually die. And same for fish. If you're just feeding it flakes or pellets, the same flake or pellet every single day or every other day, it'll eventually just kill it because it needs more things than that. Betta fish love blood. They need bloodworms. They love bloodworms, so I mean, really, you should have it. And then maybe some type of flake or pellet, and then maybe a live food. Try to at least have 3 different type of foods or more. Me, I have 7 different type of foods I feed my fish. So, maybe one day you feed your betta fish, maybe flakes or pellets. Maybe like every other day, maybe like say Monday you feed pellets or flakes. Then maybe Wednesday you feed bloodworms, and then maybe Friday you feed maybe some live food. I think I have I have live brine shrimp. They make just regular shrimp. They have squid. Something live that a betta can obviously consume. And you can also look those up, what a betta can eat, because there is some stuff that will hurt it. Next thing is improper water conditions. This probably will be the most confusing thing to anybody. They think you could just put water in a tank and put it in, and betta fish will most of the time if the water's, in room temperature, it will be fine. But you can't just do that. Most of the time people don't have a big enough tank, so you can't really, it's really hard to even cycle a tank because you don't have a filter. You are creating ammonia because every time you feed a fish, out comes ammonia, and their waste is ammonia. And then there's no filter to really, gather that bacteria and turn that to nitrates and then make nitrates. It's because most small tanks, maybe 1-2 gallons, they're not going to have a filter or a heater. So you're going to have unstable water conditions. One day your tank might be 70 degrees and the other day it's like 79. I don't know why, but the temperature might fluctuate, and it's just going to be a bad story, and the fish is going to die. And if there's no bacteria in the water to support the fish, it's going to die. So if you're at least going to get a 1-2 gallon, make sure you just have some type of bacterial supplement. You can get stuff like C-Chem, Stability, anything that, anything that has bacteria in it, they sell them all at the store. But, and if you have the money, get a test kit, test the water, pH, what else is there? Blanking out. You got pH, you got ammonia, nitrates and nitrates, and hardness. Now, it might be kind of non-practical for, somebody that's really just keeping one beta to even buy a big test kit, but it's going to help if you really want to keep it alive. And, yeah, just like I said, cold water is a big thing. If you're at least gonna do straight from the tap, at least measure the water, make sure it's at least 72 degrees at the least, and make sure you dose it with conditioner. Something like Prime is a very good one. The small bottle would be perfect. So I would use something like this to get all the the bad stuff out of the water. Next thing is diseases. That's the biggest thing. And diseases can occur from anything. It can come from cold water, obviously, like we said, fluctuating from the temperature, dirty water, fungus, white spots, and none of that will happen if you actually have a proper tank. And that's kind of the next thing, is the tank size. Betas really needs anything less, they need to be something more than 10, not 10 gallons, 5 gallons would be like the minimum. Anything less, it'll work, but it just sucks. It's just all this stuff I'm talking about now is gonna happen. At least with the 5 gallon, you could put a small filter on there, and at least have a decent tank. Anything less than that, it's just not gonna go well. Stuff is gonna happen. You're gonna spend all this money and then everything's gonna end up dying. But if you do have white spots or you have any disease, they have meds at the store, so you can ask, obviously, the store what meds I need. But there's some meds that will treat everything. There's C-Chem Paragard. I'd probably get that, and it'll basically treat anything, all diseases. Next thing might be improper tank mates. Now, if you do have a bigger size tank, or you don't, and you still have tank mates, don't put other fish with betas, especially if it's a small tank. And if you're watching this, you most likely have a beta in a small tank. If you're a beginner, if you just have a beta in there. It's one thing if like my tank that's 40 gallons and I had a beta in here, and that's a lot of space, so it was okay. But with as small as your tank might be, just put the beta. Don't put shrimp. Don't put anything. Even if they do go well together, until you at least have maybe 10 gallons, then you can start adding tank mates. But other than that, I would not recommend it. Other thing is jumping out of the water. Obviously, if it does jump out of the water, you're obviously gonna know it's dead. But it's not really a reason why betas die. It's kind of obvious. But betas will jump, so have a hood. Next thing is stress. Now this all goes with kind of just wraps up everything we're talking about. If you have a really small tank, the fish is gonna get stressed out. It's not like you can just put any fish, in any tank size. They're gonna die from getting stressed out. They're gonna freak out. If you, maybe like little kids, maybe they'll tap on the glass or plastic, or just tap on the tank, and the fish will jump around and they'll hit something, part of the decor, or bang their heads. Anything will hurt them, or they'll get stressed out and die. Fish can easily die from stress. It's happened all the time to me. It's just part of it, but try to get your fish less stressed out as possible. Add plants, add decor, add hiding spots, so it's as stressed out as possible. Next thing is probably the most obvious, is old age. And age, it's gonna happen. Betas will live maybe, for the beginner, maybe 6 to a year, 6 months to a year, maybe a year and a half, if you're lucky. And we all know that day will eventually come. Not everything lives forever. We don't live forever. Fish don't live forever. No animal lives forever. So that day is gonna come. So if you have the right setup and it's just absolutely perfect, and you just wonder why it dies, well, think about how long you've had it and just consider that it just got old. So I know I probably talked fast through that video, or just now. I hope some of you kind of can understand now. If you want more information on any of the main topics I talked about, definitely ask, because I know some of the water conditioner parts, or the tank size, will definitely confuse some people, because I kind of talked fast through that. But if I need you to slow down, or I need to kind of explain it more to you, definitely comment down below and I can, get that answer for you. Explain it a little more than I did with this video. I think a quick story is, my first fish was a betta, and I first had it in a half a gallon. Probably the worst idea you could possibly ever think of. A half a gallon. At least these days, most people get like a 1 or 2 gallon, but I had a half a gallon tank from Walmart. It was $5, and it lived about a year in that tank, surprisingly. Well, not saying lived, I mean it was in that tank for a year. And then I switched to a 2 gallon, which was a little bit better. Had a light on it, I had decor in there, and it lived for another 2.5 years. So my betta lived for like 3.5 years, which was pretty good, I guess you could say, for a betta fish, or really for a beginner. Not many beginners could say they've kept their first fish alive for almost 4 years. So that's kind of a quick little story on my first fish. So if you did like this video, drop a like. If you want to recommend anything for the plant series, the fish series, or the top 5 series, if you got any suggestions for those videos, you can definitely put those in the comments. But like I said, if you need anything else answered, just put down the comments, or email me at johnnyjohnson13.jj@gmail.com, or you can go on my Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook and message me there. All my links are on my channel somewhere. But yeah, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. See ya.